يلا بنات، الغدا جاهز. غسلوا ايدكم وجهزوا السفرة. يلا ماما بسرعة.
يلا مليحة، رد المشط وغسلي وأنا رح أجهز الطاولة.
الو
فتح، صار في انفجار. مليحة تعورت.
فيها شيء؟ بنتي فيها شيء؟
ما ادري. تعال البيت بسرعة.
يلا كان الحين جاي بالطريق.
دقيقة المطافي.
في انفجار ببيتنا. منزل 71 جادة 15 مال الأحمدي.
مبارك الكبير وجه الفرقة تسرب غاز.
أمام عمليات مبارك كبير للمواد الخضراء في منازل جمال الأحمدي. تسرب غاز في منازل.
إيه بيتنا قاعد يحترق، بنتي متعورة.
مليحة.
كل أب يتمنى حق أولاده الخير، كل أب في العالم في جميع أنحاء العالم، الفقير الغني يتمنى حياة أفضل لأولاده، يتمنى على قولتهم يكونون أحسن الناس. الأمور اللي قاعد أشوفها أحس أنها غامضة يعني بالنسبة لها، يعني أعتقد أنها مستقبلها راح يكون مو مستقبل أي طفل أو أي بنت لها مستقبل.
A gas explosion had badly injured a young girl, and a family had been changed forever. Was this a tragic but isolated incident? Or was this the first sign of something much bigger? What had happened here? Ahmadi, Kuwait is a company town. Like any company town, daily life is centered around its largest employer and property owner, the Kuwait Oil Company, or KOC. Even before Kuwait became a major exporter of oil and gas, Ahmadi had long been known as an oasis in the desert. The town also sits on top of one of the world's largest oil and gas reservoirs. For the average family in Ahmadi, these invisible forces lay quietly under their feet, kept in place by pressure and millions of years of geologic time. But with a mysterious gas explosion, all that changed.
This is something which is really a moment of confronting something was not anticipated, let me say.
We need to understand what is going on.
They keep saying, now what is the source? And what is the source? And what is the source?
And the problems, if you don't know see your enemy, or you smell it, or you touch it, you cannot fight it.
It means you are looking for something underground. You cannot predict the behavior of that. As if you are looking for a ghost.
An explosion in this quiet neighborhood was a shock. This did not happen at a refinery or in the oil fields. This happened on residential property owned by KOC. So the company was responsible. But who was at fault? KOC's own fire brigade responded immediately, and the investigation began.
As soon as we're reaching the house, I'm really surprised because from the bathroom and the master room, we found the fire started from the middle of the rooms, from the middle to the top, and just another flash, but it's not continuous fire. That's indicated me immediately there is a gas.
Two sources. There could be a gas emission from these locations, and which.
And that's why I call my team, the hazmat. I call the people from the QOC, Safety and Health Department. I said to them, let's us checking the house for gas leak.
We start checking the surrounding area, the manholes, the house, even the gardens, the pipelines around the house. We found that wherever you have cavity, you will see it was full of gas.
I think this is where it starts people saying, listen, there's something more than just localized issue. It is something which is maybe bigger than what we already thought in the beginning in this process.
That really raised the concern to us in the management, and we started taking the issue very seriously since then.
KOC upper management met within hours of the incident. A lot of questions had to be answered. Was this an equipment breakdown? How big was the problem? Could there be another explosion? Action had to be taken quickly to find the cause, keep people safe, and prevent a bigger disaster. The job of finding answers fell at first to a few selected company employees. The crisis team, as they became known, was made up of a group of experts from across the company.
The first priority which we had is the safety of the citizen in Ahmadi Township, especially in the north area.
أنا يوم من الأيام كنت ساكن أيضا الأحمدي فيها. بعد يعني أستشعر الخطورة اللي تواجه الموظفين هناك والعوائل اللي كانت موجودة لهم. To KOC and always been, and it's going to continue to be, their people is the most precious thing for them. They take care of their people.
There was a talk about the evacuation at that time, but we decided to understand the phenomenon.
Now, if we have the same situation now in any area or in any houses, we have to evacuate immediately, because the problems now, our priority is now the safety of people. I don't know how much is it spread, but we need to evacuate any houses now got gases on it. This is our priority now. This is number one, we have to do it.
I think, gentlemen, we have to put a plan for us.
No problem, but
we are lost now. It's not a way of to start, huh? We have an issue, we have a situation, we have a safety of people. Okay, I think we have to split our effort into two areas. Let us focus. Somebody shall focus on the site and the safety of people, venting these houses, do whatever necessary. Even if we go to evacuation, we have no objection. But meanwhile, let somebody focus on the source and the cause and why.
The crisis team had to move as fast as possible in two directions at once. So while they began the search for the source of the gas, field teams started the work of venting gas from the homes to prevent another explosion.
We decided to shut off the gas supply that night, the same night, which I think it was, now looking back, I think it was the right decision.
You want to check gas?
Come in, no problem, come.
A huge workforce was deployed to test the area houses, often several times a day. Houses with dangerous levels of gas were quickly evacuated. The KOC work crews had to deal with concerned, often angry residents. Some just got tired of the constant intrusions, while others began to imagine the worst.
They feel bad, like, oh, they're going to evacuate me from the house. And we're trying to eliminate that. We're trying to ensure that we take the right procedure.
Back at the crisis center, the team continued to search for the source of the gas.
Our task is to find where does it come from.
We had to think, what are the reasons? What are the sources? Let's just as brainstorming now.
As what's happened, everybody discussing maybe the gas line, maybe.
So we're trying to sort or list down all the possible sources of this gas.
Like most towns, Ahmadi has the usual infrastructure of sewer systems and gas networks buried underground, supplying homes. Unlike most towns, Ahmadi also has oil and gas facilities throughout the area, from storage tanks at the north and south end of town to nearby production wells and refineries, to the reservoirs deep below the surface. All these possible sources of leaks and failures complicated the team's search for a cause of the explosion.
The problems, it is a lot of debate between us. Some of them said, no, we're not convinced 100%. It is a natural gas. Some of them, they said it might be from the sewer.
So we had probably more than 7 items, 8 items that the source of gas coming from, and we tried one by one attack it through the full experience, and took days and weeks and months to ensure that that source is not correct.
We have teams in charge for every area, so the field work was huge. So we have a team was in charge to test every single house, the internal network. And we have another team working outside testing the main lines. And we have somebody in charge to test all the lines, high pressure lines around Ahmadi.
जो भी आपको रूल फॉलो करना है वो आप फॉलो करो, okay? And go now.
I remember one time we were around 1,500 people at the site.
Shut down
The crisis team was now working around the clock. An international search had found a lot of examples of gas explosions in refineries, gas pipelines, and leakages from landfills. But there was nothing like the gas contamination the crews were finding wherever they searched. Then, in a late-night brainstorming session, someone remembered a similar incident. Several weeks before, a night watchman house-sitting for a family on vacation got cold. He wrapped himself in a blanket and settled in. As he began to nap, a nearby space heater ignited the blanket. In a panic, the watchman tossed the burning blanket into a bathroom. It was reported at the time to be an isolated event. The incident was added to a list of unusual symptoms, such as the many dead trees in the neighborhood.
We did a huge survey just to identify where are the dead trees, because we noticed that there are some dead trees could be because of the gas.
The survey revealed that the areas of dead trees seemed to follow the buried lines of the gas distribution network, pointing to the network as a probable source of the leaks.
Natural gas, if there are leaks, in the ground for a considerable amount of time, can rob plant life, and not just trees, but bushes, shrubs, grass, can rob it of its oxygen and moisture.
Excavations around the house revealed another symptom: black soil in the trenches of the old gas pipeline network. Black soil indicated very high concentrations of natural gas, and there was a lot of it. As the team continued to search for a source, people were still in their homes and in potential danger. Gas will take the path of least resistance as it makes its way to the atmosphere, so the field teams created methods to help it along. Houses with high gas contamination readings were treated in 4 stages. Stage 1 was to vent the houses by simply opening doors and windows. Manhole covers were opened and flushed to clear blockages. Houses that still had significant levels of gas went to stage 2. Trenches were dug around the entire house, and perforated pipe was placed in the trench, which was then backfilled with gravel. The gravel, less dense than hard-packed soil, would allow the gas to migrate more easily. If the first 2 stages were unsuccessful in reducing gas levels, treatment went to stage 3. Interior flooring was broken up, and venting trenches were excavated inside the houses. Finally, if stage 4 was necessary, external fan systems were installed to help pull the gas from the soil and away from the house.
Ready?
Meanwhile, gas samples from the surface and from the reservoir were sent to independent labs in the US, the UK, Egypt, and Kuwait's own Institute for Scientific Research. These tests tended to verify that the chemical fingerprints of both samples were the same. But without 100% verification, all options, including the sewer system, were still on the table.
The problems with the gas, methane gas, is migrated gases, and it's easy, can be traveling any holes or anything. And it can be full the sewage, and he will follow the line of the sewage itself.
Do you think it could be generated by the sewage, or it could be under a conduit, or what?
No, first results, it indicates that it is thermogenic. It's not biogenic, so it's nothing to do with the sewer.
We do some testing for the sewer itself. We're venting the sewers. We put some cameras on it. We check the sewers. The gas is gone, but we still have the gas inside the houses.
Imagine we have 1,100 almost number of manholes. All this network was tested and was scanned, and there was no cracks, nothing.
One by one, the possible sources had been eliminated. 4 wells had been drilled to try to discover a geological source for the gas, but the results were inconclusive. Now, all that was left was the possibility of a failure of the gas network itself. If true, this could be a huge problem.
Many indications showed that the main source of the gas was the gas network, whether from the old gas network or new gas network.
There were actually 2 gas networks beneath North Ahmadi. The old gas network, built in the 1950s, had been replaced around 2004 and had been completely shut down, but remained buried.
By default, the old network has been abandoned and even dismantled in some areas.
There was a suspicion that there might be some gas left in the pipeline network. Now, how come it didn't come out, earlier? Why it occurred at this certain particular time?
The area where we having these explosions was the last area where they transfer the operation from the old to new, and what was the most corroded network at that time.
We have to check a lot of kilometers of gas lines. We have to check sector by sectors. We have to know exactly. We have to do some science method to do it.
American gas detection specialist Heath Consulting was brought in to help examine the network. Heath introduced new gas monitoring equipment, allowing the KOC crews to gather more precise data. The data continued to show contamination in the network trenches, so the gas network was still the main focus.
They had thought initially that the problems could have lied in the natural gas distribution system that supplied the homes and businesses in that community, and that's why we were contacted to come in and do an evaluation of the natural gas network.
Just to be safe, the team made the decision to dig up the old network and completely remove it. The trenches were filled with gravel and perforated pipes.
So we did massive excavation around the old pipe network. We excavated all of it and to ensure that there is no gas coming from this old network.
While crews removed the old gas network, the monitoring process continued. Gas readings were slowly coming down. The direction the team was taking seemed to be on the right track. Although the data had helped the team define the general area of leaking gas, there still didn't seem to be a logical reason for the up and down, now you see it, now you don't behavior of the gas.
Tracking the gas, we found that in some areas today is 0, tomorrow is 100, day after tomorrow is 50. It means that we can't predict the behavior of this gas.
There was technology that we brought with us for the investigation. While we were there, obviously, the KOC personnel saw the equipment, saw what the ability of the equipment was.
They decided, since we have this quick or rapid instrument where we can have the gas reading very quickly, why not to scan all Ahmadi as if you are doing X-ray for Ahmadi.
A more detailed citywide search would require huge manpower to accomplish. KOC monitoring crews, armed with the new, more accurate gas monitoring devices, began to systematically test for gas concentrations using a grid system. They punched through the topsoil or road asphalt at 10-meter intervals. Each point on the grid was tested and the readings noted. With field crews generating 25,000 readings a day, a special team of KOC analysts working around the clock turned those readings into maps, site plans, and graphs.
It took a lot of time. Some days took 3 days. So always when we said today, it means we are discussing 2 or 3 days before results. It wasn't effective, actually. So we decided to automate that. That was a big challenge, actually, but at the end we could achieve it.
All the new data that was being generated just added to the mystery, since tests had shown that the new gas network was leak-free.
No internal leak, no external leak, no leak from the main lines.
Gas had been off for a while from the distribution system. Our thoughts generally was most of that gas should have been vented to atmosphere, and why was it still, why were there still readings in the ground?
We managed to find this gas almost all over Ahmadi City. So if it is in the pipeline network, it will be isolated or located only in the residential area. This gas was found much further or in farther areas than Ahmadi City.
We're dealing with a ghost, and the ghost, we couldn't find it. We dig everywhere you can imagine.
Even though high gas readings were showing up all over the area, field data indicated that gas was migrating in and around the utility trenches, so the network still could not be ruled out.
We thought that by eliminating the other sources, now this might be the most possible source of have the.
But the problem.
Whatever the true source, daily monitoring showed that gas levels were moving steadily down. The homes that had been torn up during the remediation process were completely renovated with new flooring, appliances, and fixtures. Progress was being made. After months of work, the team finally announced to the public that the commercial gas network was the most likely source of the leaks. It had been almost a year since the explosion, and nothing catastrophic had happened. Some sense of normalcy was beginning to return.
They called me that day, there is an explosion in the block number 1 in the government houses. At that time, we were just announced that the area was under control and we are in a very good situation.
To be honest, I was shocked, completely shocked.
We felt so confident that everything is under control, and suddenly this happened.
There was chaos in the street as angry, frightened residents mixed with firefighters, emergency rescue teams, and the police. But the fear, anger, and blame were just beginning, and the spotlight turned on the Kuwait Oil Company.
Everybody was afraid. Everybody was outside. Everybody was in the street since morning. Are you smelling something? What happened? What they going to do? What we going to do? Nobody was knowing what to do.
This latest explosion happened outside of KOC's boundaries, in a neighborhood of government housing. It was now a citywide problem with national implications.
I was out for a beautiful fishing day. This is my great hobby. It was a Friday. It's a beginning of 10 days long feast holidays, starting Friday. And suddenly, telephone calling. My deputy was in the location in Ahmadi. The situation is getting serious, and he think we need to do evacuation.
The explosion had brought the gas phenomenon to national attention. Now the government was involved.
فياني اتصال وأبلغوني عن ما حصل في الأحمدي، فاستشعرت خطورة الوضع الحقيقة، فقمت في أول شيء هو اتصال في القيادة السياسية وإبلاغهم بما حصل في الأحمدي. فعلى طول ذهبت إلى موقع الحدث، فلما وصلت الموقع كانوا المطافي موجودين وكان الدفاع المدني بدأوا يحضرون.
In an effort to bring all the country's resources to bear, the government also called upon KOC to help. After all, they'd been down this road before.
We jointly agreed to have KOC involved in this activity, and the KOC management was very clear that they are keen to be fully supporting the effort.
Block 1 did something which is very important, is switch the issue from localized in KOC to our country issues.
I just came from the investigation of the house, and now I told you everybody, we are under pressure now. Everybody wants to answer. I couldn't find any reason for the gas, for the house to explode unless there is something coming from underneath the house. I am sure 100% now it is the gas is coming from subsurface. Jamal, please. We have to eliminate the gas line. This is finished now because there is no gas line around this area.
Are we sure? There is no network there in that area, and the closest network to it is far away. There is no other source than geological to be there.
It was a mind-boggling of how can we figure out where this gas coming from. We've been working with the gas for the last, by that time, more than 75 years. We are in the hydrocarbon business. We should be the masters. I mean, we shouldn't miss this one.
Within a few days, the Kuwait Parliament declared a national emergency and set up a special commission to address the issue.
وكان اجتماعي مع الأخوان في الدفاع المدني، اتخذنا على أن يكون هناك يعني لجنة طوارئ لهذا الأمر.
They first wanted to evacuate totally Block 1.
Okay, why not? Why only Ahmadi? We might also extend the evacuation to all the areas around Ahmadi.
They say, okay, we evacuate all Ahmadi. I said, if you said that, I would say evacuate all of Kuwait. Let's go to another country because we have, the oil is all over the place, يعني, underneath each single house.
Using the standards developed in North Ahmadi, families that were in immediate danger were evacuated, while data on gas levels was gathered.
By 11 o'clock, we moved first 4 families out. Every day we start to move more and more people as more and more gas reading is coming up in these homes. We got to move them in an apartment, look after them even from all other aspects.
This was really a big headache, and it was really a big issue for us. And that's why we are looking for furnished flats or apartments. We're going for hotels, we're asking a lot of people. And it's still really difficult for people to leave their houses.
هم يو قالوا لي لازم تخلين البيت الحين خلال 24 ساعة، يعني أنت تخيل شخص واحد خلال 24 ساعة يترك البيت، شنو يصير؟ زين هل إحنا رح ناخذ يعني أغراضنا وأمورنا حق يوم يومين شهر شهرين؟ ما إحنا عارفين نهائيا، فيعني بالنسبة لي كانت يعني شبه كارثة.
As residents were forced to leave their homes, the question became who would pay for their rent and living expenses. The Prime Minister asked the Council of Ministers to set aside funds for the evacuees.
فاتخذنا الحقيقة إجراءات حازمة بأن نخرجهم وأن نوجد لهم الحقيقة مساكن يأوون إليها.
We managed to move more people as days passes. In the same time, of course, the field team start to dig into earth to find out what is this.
With government approval and police protection, they began the work. But now the stakes were even higher and much more challenging than in North Ahmadi. The logistics and community relations were going to be difficult. As crews and KOC specialists began to descend on the Block 1 neighborhoods, they had to face the residents, who were not KOC employees.
We found a lot of angry people. People, they are worried about their safety. People, they're asking what you are going to do.
Some people, they do not want to come out. Some people, they want to stay in that area, and they think that if they go, they will not come back, or the government, he will take these houses.
People are not accepting what we are doing. There was a huge resistance from them. Some of them were shouting and fighting with our people.
Unlike the North Ahmadi neighborhoods, here in Block 1, KOC had no control. These were not company employees. Rumors and panic spread throughout the government housing blocks.
It was not easy to talk to the people. Why? You don't know the source, quantities, or even when do you expect to have the closure of this problem.
These people, they have children, they have schools, they have medical, they have a lot of things. You want to take them for 1 year outside of this area.
I remember 1 or 2 houses we went there, the people were shouting. I mean, they said, you are lying to us, you know, truth, there is no truth, there is nothing.
But some homeowners refused to leave, and the field teams had to work around them.
لا هم ضد موضوع اصلا انهم يخلوا يعني كانوا طالبين بحل سريع وجذري موضوع الاجارات يعني لم يكن وارد في بالهم حتى انه يعني ما رضوا انه ياخذوا الاجار يعني فبالتالي هم بقوا في المنازل حتى يضغطوا على الحكومه من الممكن يعني ان يكون هذا السبب بايجاد حل سريع وفوري.
Suddenly, this was a big news story. Everyone, politicians, the media, wanted answers immediately. And KOC was the obvious target. The biggest business in Kuwait with the deepest pockets.
بدايتها كانت بداية الحادثة أصلاً كانت بداية وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي في الظهور، فكانت معطية الأمر زخم كبير أحياناً، تضارب في المعلومات، ما كان في شيء حقيقي، كانت شركة النفط تقول كلام وكانوا الناس السكان يقولون كلام، إدارة الإطفاء تقول كلام، الشرطة أيضاً تقول كلام، فكان في عندنا تضارب، فاضطرينا أن نستعين في 3 محررين يومها في بلوك 1 ليكونوا موجودين في الحادث لمعرفة حقيقة ما حصل.
While news stories and rumors multiplied, the crisis team's immediate attention was still focused on reducing high gas levels.
Now the conclusion, we do the same method what we done in Ahmadi area to the government block. We're going to do the same procedures, the same situation, and now...
No, it's not possible. We have a different case here. The houses are not similar to our KOC houses.
Yeah.
And there is no way to follow the same sequence we did in our houses, stage 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
And we are facing a lot of resistance from the occupant to open the house and go and check the site. So I think we have to make it the opposite. In most of the houses, there are almost attached houses in 3 sites. There is no sufficient number of windows to keep it ventilated.
Since the Block 1 area was essentially one giant concrete slab, the first step was to create a path for the gas to vent. Trenches were dug along the narrow streets, and just as in the north, perforated piping was installed. This proved much more challenging here in Block 1 because of the density of the neighborhood. One building next to another, next to another.
The area is so tight and the streets are so tight, so we couldn't be able to move around, to go inside and to work. There is no space to excavate, so we have to do really massive work.
This street was full of workers, and they was having this machine for digging the ground, and they start digging outside. They didn't touch anything in the house.
And we brought a lot of kilometers of gas, what they call plastic pipes, and a lot of digging, and we do it for 9 days. Whole holiday we are digging and try to sucking the gas away from it.
So we create an easy path for the gas by laying these perforated networks with the gravel, and we suck it with a very powerful fans. This was our action, quick action, till we get the permission from the government. Okay, you can go inside.
The trenching and venting work turned into a huge operation. People and equipment needed to be brought in from all over the country.
There was like hundreds of generators on the site. There is a lot of people engaged from the government and different authority like policemen. All these people, they were there on the site.
The operation at that time, it was so huge. We have 1,200 laborers working at the same time with equipments, heavy equipments, light equipments.
We had to break streets. We have to excavate everywhere, every house, all around the house, inside the house, in the rooms by itself.
The hundreds of workers, the equipment, the noise all caused chaos for the residents. A very real question was, could these homes ever be lived in again, or should the properties be condemned?
They are asking the government to revalue their houses, give them another houses, or remove all the area. Are we not talking about Block 1? We have the same situation, Block 1, 2, and 3.
We even consider this on the long term if our plans did not work well. They have the right to be in a safe place. But each time we show up, we have a lower reading. So that gives us some comfort that we are targeting a safer area in the future.
Using the methods that proved to be successful in North Hamadi, the most seriously affected homes were given radical treatment, including excavations inside the houses.
طبعا كنت اي امر اول باول كنت اطالع كل يوم عن يوم يعني قاعد اطالع البيت اسوأ يوم كانت في غرفه بعدين من الغرفه انتقلوا غرفه ثانيه يعني شبه البيت من تحت كان يعني متدمر نهائيا يعني كل يوم قاعده اشوف حفر وكل يوم اشوف يعني بدال يوم في شخص لا ثاني يوم في 10 ثالث يوم يعني كل ما العدد قاعد يزيد وهو شنو قاعد يصير يعني حاليا ما كنت عارفه يعني بس مجرد انه بايبات قاعد تصعد وتنزل يعني هذا كان اللي كنت اشوفه.
While managing the work in Block 1, the crisis team returned to the idea of a geological origin for the gas.
Now we should think seriously about the other sources. Geological sources could be a reason. Unfortunately, we don't have any data. We need to understand the situation.
Why don't have data for that?
We don't. We are not interested in this. In our industry, we are interested on oil, and all the oil is
so do you mean there is no data for the?
We don't have any data on the.
How long it will take? My question is how long would it take?
So there was a lot of discussions that time, heated discussions, I can say.
To understand the source, if it's a geological source, we need to support it with the data. Again, unfortunately, we don't have enough data.
The team needed to take a closer look under the surface of the city, but a proper subsurface study would take 3 years.
Under the pressure we are on at that time, it was totally unacceptable. What's 3 years?
It required time to understand the problem now. We squeezed the time by adding additional resources and adding new tools to shorten the period.
So the plan was squeezed from 3 years up to 6 months.
The gas had to be emerging from a place that was relatively shallow, much more shallow than the reservoirs that were miles deep under Kuwait. Natural gas doesn't suddenly bubble up to the surface through thousands of feet of rock. Although 4 wells had been drilled very early in the original crisis, more test wells were drilled in and around the area running north to south, considered to be the primary gas leak zone. These wells were 10 meters deep, and almost immediately, significant amounts of gas were detected. The data now indicated a swath of gas concentrations running north to south. While the team was looking below the surface, above ground at regular press conferences, people continued to demand answers.
We're not just under the pressure of the work we need to be done. We have to handle media, we have to handle politicians, we have to handle this. We have to report to the government.
And media, oh my God. The media, dealing with the media, how can you deal with the media if you don't have a straight answer?
Every day in the newspapers, in the channels, in the TV channels, meetings with the occupants, raising the issue to the parliament, which I don't blame them. The occupant, from their point of view, they have the right. They feel unsafe. And somebody shall do something for them.
بالنهاية يعني يتم التعامل مع هذه القضية كقضية إنسانية. هناك انفجار حدث في الأحمدي. لابد من أن تقف وسائل الإعلام مع مصلحة المواطن، لأنه باعتبار أنه ممكن يكون هو الحلقة الأضعف في هذا الحدث يعني.
Everyone involved in the Block 1 work faced increasing political pressure. The Prime Minister, Sheikh Nasser al-Mohammed, made a welcome visit to the site and was informed of the work going on. But sometimes Parliament members would suddenly show up in Block 1 unannounced.
All of a sudden, I got a call, they are here on site. So immediately, I had to go and meet with them and try to explain what are we doing.
They just know nothing what's going on. Even we were reporting every day, we just have a press release to let the public and the officials know what's going on. But they don't believe what you say.
Some of the parliament people, they come and they sit with them in these diwaniyas or in these meetings, and they talk a lot, and they creating problems and the problems and the problems.
First session for the parliament during this crisis, immediately those play the games. Oh, Mr. Prime Minister, you need to look after your people. You know the game. We are aware of political issue when they play the game. This is another pressure on us.
When there are human beings in the middle, don't politicalize it. Don't give chance to politicalize the affair, because it will take a long time, and mostly from the public point of view, you will not be winner.
Against this backdrop of political pressure, the work in Block 1 continued. Though some residents refused to leave, a total of 132 homes were evacuated and given the complete remediation treatment. The houses were then renovated to new condition.
احنا مبدئيا بالنسبة حق الصيانة كان عندنا مثل قسم كنا ندخله، كانت عندهم عينات وكانوا يقولون لنا اختاروا على الذوق اللي انتم تبونه، مرتبة وعلى قولتهم بوقت قياسي يعني معين، انه مثلا خلال مثلا شهرين 3 أشهر انت الحين راح تسكن. عطوني يعني وعد انه هم حطوا لي مبدئيا انت خلال 3 أشهر تسكنين بالبيت، بس انا خلال شهرين سكنت.
Despite their best efforts, KOC was still seen as ultimately responsible for the gas leak and explosion, as well as the noise and disruption. The team was doing everything it could to keep people safe while working to determine the true source of the leaks. But they were caught in the middle. People wanted answers, but the team couldn't publicly state what they couldn't prove, especially having thought they had solved the mystery once before. Whatever the answers, they would come from below the surface. The team turned to KOC's geology group. A 3-year geological investigation, now squeezed into 6 months, needed some creative thinking.
Immediately we start meeting and discussing and brainstorming what kind of technology could really help us to map the very shallow area. It's challenging, because I'm a geophysicist, the most important tool for the geophysics for oil industry is seismic.
Seismic technology generates sound waves. When they bounce back to the surface, geologists and geophysicists can see the oil and gas-bearing reservoirs deep in the earth. The only problem is that traditional seismic technology ignores the shallow horizon, the area just below the surface, because that's not where the oil is.
We're gonna find a big challenge to find a certain technology which could help us to get under a better understanding of the shallow horizons.
Why it was a challenge? Because we never shot seismic to map a very shallow area. especially they are talking about 10 to 15 meters from the surface. It's very difficult.
So KOC partnered with international oil field specialist Schlumberger and Western GECO to break new ground.
So imagine you are shooting a seismic within Ahmedi city between the houses and all kind of obstacles. It's very difficult. We designed a very intensive and very high resolution seismic survey.
Using this new 3D survey data, the partners could now see the geology in the shallow horizon. The team compared this new information with other technologies, including Earth density measurements and satellite images. A true picture of what was directly below Ahmadi emerged. Geologists had always known about the deeper rock formations under Kuwait, but the shallowest formation, the Dammam, was thought to be about 70 meters below the surface and horizontal. Now they could see that the Dammam was actually in the shape of a dome, with the highest part just a few meters below the surface, under the center of Ahmadi. But how was the gas reaching the Dammam? Over millions of years, very small amounts of gas held in the lower Kuwait reservoirs had drifted up to the higher rock formations through a fault.
There was a clear fault cutting from our deep reservoir and a number of small faults, and it was fractured, especially under the Ahmedi city area.
We are talking about million years. Migrate through, faults, through structure on the earth, through fractures, and it's reached to the Dammam.
Eventually, a gas pocket had accumulated in the upper dome area of the Dammam layer. But the pocket had always been safely held in place by the non-porous layer of cap rock and the topsoil just above.
We discover that within the Ahmedi area, surface has been, eroded in a way. Thickness of surface area to the Dammam become very thin in some of those areas, where the Dammam reach to a depth within 6 meters only. So imagine 6 meters. If you construct a swimming pool, for example, you could reach to the Dammam.
And yet there had never been a problem before. So why was the gas leaking to the surface now? Since the 1950s, Ahmadi had been developed. The topsoil had been excavated for the normal construction that's associated with any growing community. But over the last 10 years, heavier construction for all the new utility networks, as well as the north and south tank farms, had taken place at the same time and in the same shallow area where the Dammam almost reached the surface. This development activity provided a natural conduit for the drifting gas. So while the origin of the gas was geological, it was the utility trenches and the reduced density of the topsoil that allowed it to move through the neighborhoods. And given the opportunity, gas will sneak into any opening in a building, spaces between walls and under foundations, and eventually close to a source of combustion. This was a critical piece of the puzzle. The team finally understood where the gas was coming from and how it was reaching the surface.
When we went and studied seismic, of course what we did, we integrate geological data, core data, wells data, seismic data as well. What we found in this area, we're gonna find that the Dammam is very nearby surface. It's almost 6 meters to the surface.
There was any cracks or you've seen in there in the
we found
Dammam,
we found actually
the Kabrak?
we found the cracks. We found the cracks nearby the area. There is a major fault, or 10
Jamal,
meters.
excuse me, Jamal. If you said that it is only in this zone or in this belt, actually it's matching our reading there. And we put these maps onto each other, we found that whatever was our finding, that the readings is really only in this area where they discovered that the Dammam layer is very shallow. So almost they're all matching.
All the data was finally lining up. The gas readings at the surface matched the subsurface data.
That's it. I think once this is completed, this was it's a no-brainer. This is it.
Okay, now the question: what shall we do? And what do you think? How we can get rid of this gas?
Exactly, and this is the result coming from the dynamic model we built. The dynamic model we found that the best way to get control better on this gas is to drill wells, penetrate the dammam, and try to control this gas.
I think it's a small gap, if I understand
There is a small gap
It's
between
a small gap
groundwater.
where the gas is on it, and the methane gas, most of it is very light, it will be rising immediately.
The 2D and 3D models made it clear that the solution was to drill wells into the dammam so the trapped gas could vent to the atmosphere.
So we drill holes, penetrate the dammam, and we try to relieve the gas, and we try to control the gas. We don't want the gas to migrate it randomly. We need the gas to migrate in the points we select. So we drill a number of wells.
But after more wells had been drilled, nothing happened. The gas was not venting on its own, which meant it was not under pressure. If the gas was not under pressure, then how did it reach the surface in the first place, only to disappear and reappear? Another frustrating mystery. The team cross-referenced every possible surface parameter, historical records on temperature, air pressure, even the tides, to see if there was any relationship to the changing gas levels.
We noticed that the most effective parameter which plays a big role in that is the atmospheric pressure.
When the outside atmospheric pressure is low, the gas drifts up, following the path of least resistance, like the less dense soil that fills in the gas pipeline trenches. When air pressure is high, the flow is reversed. That accounts for the ghostly qualities of the gas phenomenon. It was as if the Earth was breathing the gas in and out. After almost a year and unprecedented effort, the team now knew the source, how the gas was migrating to the surface, and why its behavior was so mysterious. Now they needed to eliminate the gas once and for all.
By normal ventilation, it will not come out. We had to pull it out. That's why we decided to install some powerful fans to suck the gas from down up to the atmosphere.
Gas venting systems were installed at the well sites with large exhaust fans that draw the gas up, regardless of atmospheric pressure.
Today it's reached to close to 80 wells with a vent where we, relieve the gas, and we have a better control on where the gas is coming from.
The surface now is zero, totally zero.
EBA has its own measurements in the city of Ahmadi, and we found from our measurements that the readings were really decreasing from the start of the problem until now. The area there now is safe, and we don't expect to have such problem to be faced again in the Al Ahmadi area.
It is what we call it under stabilization, and it is under control, and we have to keep the monitoring.
The gas venting equipment, created from scratch, has worked effectively and consistently. The gas detection methods from the first days of the crisis have evolved, becoming much more sophisticated. Field tests at the surface continue at regular intervals, but now the data is sent by handheld devices to a central command center. But the team needed to go deeper. 67 boreholes were drilled to accommodate gas detection devices called gas clam monitors. The gas clams are buried 9 meters below the surface and automatically transmit data around the clock. Both monitoring systems, at and below the surface, show readings at zero.
We have a real-time dashboard which analyzes these readings and displays it in the form of graphs and charts. We can see the diminishing effect. We can see the result of the changes and the venting processes that we have included in our workflows.
We are drilling more wells just to ensure that wherever we have any possibility of gas, we shall be ready for that gas to have an easy access to the surface.
I think this is it. We have achieved in a short time something I think if it's led for anybody else would have taken years.
مثل هذا الحدث وأعتقد الإجراءات اللي اتخذناها يمكن يستفيد منها غيرنا في يوم من الأيام.
I did all what I could with my team and with my colleagues to save these people's life.
The crisis is over, mystery solved. Through necessity, by trial and error, and the hard work of dedicated people, the danger is under control. The gas that accumulated over millions of years is gone. Any new gas that appears will be detected by the monitoring systems, and the venting wells around town will continue to do their work. Ahmadi is safe. But we can never forget, the phenomenon of the gas leak in Kuwait had a human cost.
أول شيء دخول البيت عقب 5 سنوات بعد الحادثة، أنا باعتقادي هذه نعمة من الله أن الله أعطانا إياها، إن مليحة أنقذت منطقة بكاملها، وهي الضحية انفجار الغاز لتنبيه الناس والمجتمع اللي في الأحمدي. هذا من نوع من الكرم الإلهي اللي أعطانا يا الله سبحانه وتعالى، ونحمد الله يعني على هذا الكرم يعني.
Over time, all of the attention and fear has dissipated, much like the gas. Many have already forgotten just how close this town came to disaster. Ahmadi has returned to the nice, quiet town it has always been. But the ghost will always be waiting underneath some other quiet place in the world, trying to find a way to the surface.
It's been 3 days now since a gas explosion sent one man to the hospital. Tonight, still in critical condition, and investigators still don't have an explanation as to what caused that gas leak in the first place.